Here we go.
Do it.
Okay, cool.
Here we go.
Hello, Coffiners! Welcome back to another episode of Coffin Talkin, where we unravel the mysteries, embrace the peculiar, and find humor in the unconventional world of funerals and death. I'm Holly. I'm here with Frank.
Hi, Holly.
Hi, Dad.
How's it going today?
It's good. How are you?
Good. I'm just going to say today because the week has already come and gone. We've talked kind of in between the week, and we're good, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
The day itself, was it tiring? Did you get a cat nap?
I did not get a cat nap today, but
You look good.
thanks.
Yes.
You see the circles under my eyes?
I don't see circles. I see half circles.
Oh,
More-
I've been
more
working
like-
on them.
More like crescents.
Yeah, check back in next week.
Wait till we go video.
Yep. Oh, just you wait.
I was going to say my day-to-day has been kind of it's been kind of hit and miss. There are okay. I don't think they're listening, but there are some families that have to have their handheld every step of the way, and they don't want to make any move without your permission. And I'm thinking to myself, don't call me all the time on little things. It doesn't matter. You know, that's a simple thing.
Right, little things that you don't need to be involved in.
Yeah, like his hair should be parted left to right.
You're kidding, they called you?
Yes.
What?
And you can usually tell how the hair parts when you're doing the embalming. You can see the pores.
Yeah.
See how the hair naturally falls because the pores are trained, right?
Right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So just simple little things like that. And so it's okay. It's all right. And then I had to send some things to her via DocuSign. I had to walk every signature and date with her.
Mhm.
Everything. Now, if I sign this, what am I actually signing? Did you read the document?
Let's read it together.
Oh, man. So, yes. So it's been okay. That's been my day-to-day, which is unfortunate because I was trying to get home early. And, man, this family, even when we got ready to start this podcast, I had to stop, right?
Right.
And
Take a call.
call from her. So it's fine. It's all part of the business, I guess. But
Oh, man.
how was your day?
It was fine. My husband and I have rediscovered Wii games.
Oh, nice. Do you have a
Yes.
Wii player?
Yes,
Oh,
we do. We have a Wii.
When did you get that? How long have you
I think we either got it from you guys or from my
It was
in-laws.
probably our old one.
I think it was your old Wii. But when we were married and we finally just pulled it out.
Nice.
And so we've been playing Mario Kart.
Nice. Who's winning?
Caden.
You mean my husband?
I mean my husband. He always edits his name out anyways. That's our producer.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, well, good. I'm glad you're at least doing something fun. It's kind of fun, a little fun activity as a couple's night. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, fun little date night.
It's been interesting that I could go back to Atari and Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yeah, let you know about those games that we used to play. Pong used to take forever to play because, oh my gosh, that thing would just go so slow across the screen. Ugh.
Oh yeah, I remember we had Pong when I was growing up, and man, I did not have the patience for that game.
Yeah, it's a little slow. So, anything else going on that you want to talk about?
I don't think so. I think that's about it.
Okay. So,
sorry you didn't get a lot of our weeks, but I say let's just be frank. Let's jump right into the best part. The reason why we're here.
I want to share with you a story that is a little bit different. And the only reason I say it's a little bit different is because it took place around Halloween.
Spooky. Ooh.
And here we're so far away from Halloween, but Halloween is one of my favorite holidays. And what I'm about to tell you is and was sanctioned by the company that I worked for at the time. So you just keep this in mind. So I have to give you a little bit of a layout of the building that I worked in. It was I don't know what they call that, but there was a spire up on the third floor, and it had a circular view of the city. It's like a rotunda. What did they call those?
Yeah, I think a rotunda, almost like an atrium.
Okay, but that was our living room, my living room at the time.
So you lived there?
I did, and now this mortuary has 5 apartments.
5?
Yes, and so there were 5 individuals that lived in that building that would do night work for the mortuary. So if someone was on call, they would take their turns to pick up individuals. Now, I was a little bit different because not only did I live there, I worked there full time, and I was also on the first call and embalming rotation. So I kept pretty busy when I worked there, but all five of the apartments were occupied by husband and wife, sometimes children, that would take turns coming downstairs at 5 o'clock and working till 8, answering phones, and then taking the phones up to their apartments with them, going on first calls if it was their night to do it, and or working viewings and services. So with that in mind, if I walked in the front door of that building, in front of me would be a huge staircase, and it's kind of like a half circular one, but I think the longest stair was probably from point A to point B, probably 12 and a half feet. And then it would just incrementally, gradually get smaller in the staircase up to about 9 feet. So from bottom to top, it would reduce in size by probably 3.5, maybe 4 feet.
So this was a grand staircase.
Yes.
Okay.
To the left of it was an indoor fountain or an indoor waterfall. And it was very nice. You'd get up to the top of the stairs. To the left was an office space. And then if you continued on, huge foyer. To the right would be a chapel. Mm-hmm. If I went into the chapel, I'd back out of the chapel, walk back around, and there was a nice little viewing room, and then another chapel. Walk across. There were 2 viewing rooms on that side. Walk across the small hallway, and there was another chapel. Walk past that second chapel. I know I'm getting too confused, but it doesn't really matter to the story. I just need you to know a basic outline of the building. There was another staircase that wound up to the second and third floor. The third floor is where all the apartments were kept, and it's also that floor where the embalming room was kept. So it's a huge space. All I'm trying to tell you is it's a huge space.
Yeah, that's a giant mortuary.
Yes, and so as you walked in down past the stairway, there was a door that led to another stairway that led you downstairs into the garage area. Now, the garage area was a little interesting because they also owned a limousine company that ran limousines in and out of that garage. Now, there was which we loved as tenants, there was an elevator. Now, the elevator was one of those old-style elevators that you could go ahead and lift and close a wood-slatted gate. So you had to have the gate either all the way closed in order for it to rise, and then you open it up, and then, of course, the elevator would remain stationary. You couldn't move the gate while the elevator was in motion. But once it reached the top, you lift that gate, do whatever you needed to do, close the gate, and it allowed that elevator to move down to the lower level, and it only stopped on the garage level or the third level.
So it was an express elevator only for those who lived there, really, or worked there for the embalming room.
Right. And so that's what we had. And so I have to go back because it did have one other stop, and that was for caskets to be offloaded it wasn't the second floor, but it was a little bit higher, and then it had a ramp that we'd move caskets back and forth. So there was 3 stops, but very seldom used on that third stop unless absolutely necessary.
Right.
The reason I mention that is because of what took place in the experience I'm about to share with you. So on Halloween, the night of Halloween, I received permission to go have a party in the mortuary. Now,
Well, that's fun.
Would you think that would be kind of fun, Holly?
Yes.
Have a Halloween party in a mortuary?
Uh-huh.
It was a lot of fun. And so in the main vestibule area, there was that huge area down below at the base of the stairs, and then a huge area up the top. We had little amplification systems like a DJ. He would come in and he'd play music, and there would be dancing up above and down below. And on the I don't know. Anyway, the two levels of, and then people would go into one of the viewing rooms and would be able to, we had what's called a hermetically sealed casket, but it was filled with ice, and people would get soft drinks and stuff out of that. It was a casket.
Oh, fun.
But it was lined so that then we had the huge candelabras that were all with candles, and they were going on. It was a fun event. We had fun. There was good food and stuff. The only problem was my cleaning up afterwards. I don't know, whatever. But there's always a downside to everything, right?
Of course.
Of course. So the next night, after the actual activity had occurred, and most of the tenants of the apartments that could be there were there. Now, again, remember, there were 5 apartments at the top of this mortuary, and the 5 of them that were there, I think there were 4 of us that were there. The other one had already left for the long weekend. And we all had a good time. They went back to their apartments only to prepare to leave for the long weekend. So it was like a 3 or 4 day weekend. Go ahead.
3 or 4 day weekend in the funeral industry. I have to clear this up for all of our Coffiners. Do you get Halloween off? That is basically a holiday for you people, right? A national holiday.
We do not get it off. We don't get any holidays off.
Yeah.
But that particular, and I don't know how it happened, but every single person in that building was given the time off that
okay.
they wanted to have to go and be with their families wherever they may be.
So you were going to be the only one there.
I was the only one there, and the only one there working on that 4 day weekend. So after the party, I was cleaning up and then thought, oh my gosh, I just want to go to bed. Now, you got to know about my apartment that I was occupying at the time. My back room door opened up into the dressing area of the prep room area. So if I walked out my door to my left, I would see tables with individuals on them that were waiting to be dressed and or casketed. To my right would be the prep room. And so a lot of times whenever I'd get a call, I'd go in there. Yeah, okay, I'm ready. I'll come in. So they call me and tell me that there's a body on the table ready to be embalmed. So I'd get out, go through the back door, walk to the right, and start embalming. So on this particular night, the night after Halloween, after this party, I was by myself. There was not a car in the parking lot. There was no one in or around that building as far as I could tell. While I'm in the embalming room, and please understand, the embalming room had no doors. It was it was an open door. And so I knew I could hear everything, and I heard the lower gate on the elevator close.
Oh.
And I thought to myself, what? I guess one of the guys must have come home early or maybe they just forgot something. And anyway, so I could hear the elevator. The door was closed, and the elevator started to rise. And I kept embalming, and I didn't think anything of it until I heard the elevator stop, but no gate was risen. So the gate, which was just around the corner from me, I kept waiting for someone to open the gate. It never opened. Or lifted, so that someone was either walking in or out. And so I walked around the corner of the prep room and I looked at the elevator, and sure enough, the elevator was on my level. The gate was still down, but no one was in the elevator. Weird, right?
Yeah, so that's not possible. Let me just...
Well, thanks, Holly, because that's what I thought.
Yeah. Like, that couldn't even be a mechanical error, because you had to pull the gate down on the lower level in order for the elevator to rise.
That's right. That is correct. And so the same goes with where the elevator was currently sitting. And so someone either had to lift the gate, because you have to reset it. Once it's there, you have to lift the gate and then close it again in order for the elevator to be sent down.
Right.
So it was just sitting there. The gate hadn't been opened, hadn't been closed. It's just sitting there.
Ooh.
And I thought, there was some stuff on the elevator. Just to be honest with you, there were some things on there because one of the couples in one of the apartments was still in the process of moving in.
So they had just left some boxes or...
That's correct. Some of their things were still on the elevator. So I went on ahead and I thought, well, maybe they're here trying to...
Maybe they're just sending boxes up.
Yeah. And so I just went on ahead and I opened the gate or lifted the gate, then put it back down. And the elevator, because it either goes up or down. That's it.
Right.
And so I closed the gate and the elevator was on its way down. And I just thought, well, they should be grateful for that. And next time you want to empty the elevator, have someone come up with it.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm not going to empty it for you. So
you doofuses. Silly goofs.
What are you thinking?
Yeah.
So anyway, the elevator starts making its way down and then it stops. And I thought, okay, well, and I haven't heard the gate open. And I'm just thinking, okay, well, someone's going to be opening it shortly because obviously they're doing something with the move.
Right.
So I went back to embalming. I had 2 bodies to embalm that night, and there was one that I had finished. I just barely started on the second one when I heard the gate open or lift. And I thought, well, this time I'm going to just say, hey, don't leave your boxes on the elevator. You need to take them off.
Mm-hmm.
So the elevator door the gate is open. And I looked down because it's an open shaft. So I just looked down, and there on the elevator floor is something in black. And it looks like the person is wearing a hoodie, but I can't tell if it's a hoodie or not. But anyway, his head is arched down. So imagine, if you will, standing in a stationary or statuesque mode, and then you just pull your head down to where your chin is almost on your chest, like you're bowing your head in prayer. And that's what I was witnessing. And I didn't recognize the guy, because usually you can tell from body physique or body form.
Who it is.
If you know them. Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, who are you? What are you doing in the elevator? And I'm just yelling, and no movement from this person at all. None.
And was he on the bottom floor and you could see him down at the bottom?
He was in the garage.
He wasn't on your floor.
No. He was on the garage floor. That's where the elevator was at. And I remember thinking to myself, maybe I should call the cops because he's not responding to me. I don't think he thinks he should be there.
Yeah.
And so I just went on ahead and I walked back into the prep room and I just made a comment. Hey, I'm going to call the cops. I'm calling the cops.
Hey, just so you know, I'm calling the cops if you wanted to,
Let me just be honest with you. Haven't you ever thought, now how stupid is that? You're making an announcement to an intruder that you're calling the cops, right? You see these movies all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not run upstairs to where it's darker?
Seriously.
Run out to the barn. And I always thought to myself, I would never do that. Well, here I found myself.
Hey, friend, I'm calling the cops on you.
So anyway, while I'm in the prep room, I no sooner dialed 911 than I hear the gate close.
Oh, shoot. So he's on his way up to you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's what I'm thinking. He's on his way up. And so I went back and I looked over the edge. And sure enough, that elevator was coming up and there was someone on that elevator. And I just thought to myself, I can't do this. I've got to make. So I kind of barricaded myself in the prep room because I didn't know what this guy was going to do or what he
why he was there
going to be. Yes. And so I went on ahead and I closed. There's 3 embalming tables in the prep room. The one closest to the exterior wall of the building has like panels down on both sides, and so it's not a clear shot view. You've seen the prep room before, Holly, right?
Yeah.
Where all tables are kind of you just see the table and there's open space under the table. You can see right from under the table what's going on behind there.
Yeah, it's like a metal gurney almost.
Yeah, exactly. A little wider, but yeah, it's like a metal gurney. And so on the third table there were slats. that were, and they were designed to be put on that table because it's an older table and it wouldn't hold weight. So those slats were under the table to keep it steady and support. Right. So I kind of cowered in the corner behind it and waiting to see if I can. And now, please understand that it's dark enough at night that after I had called the police, I was looking for reflections on the walls of police lights that would tell me that they were back in the building or in the parking
lot.
And so it seemed like an eternity that I was cowering over there behind that table.
And is this in the room that has no doors?
Yes.
Oh, how terrifying is that?
And let me just tell you, my first thought was that he was there to steal organs. Because
oh my gosh, is that a thing?
It is a thing. And I'll tell you another story about that some other time. But there is a so anyway, I was thinking, how do I defend myself? And I'm looking around. The only thing I had was a scalpel.
A scalpel. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, or a trocar, which is an elongated tube with a very sharp point on it. And so I just grabbed the trocar in one hand and then the scalpel in the other, and I was just there. Yes, I was okay. What can I do? I jab first and do a duck and
right. Do I throw this and then
You're just running around thinking in your mind, what do I do? When all of a sudden, and it seemed like I was there for an eternity, when the elevator stopped, and I knew that he was on my floor.
Yeah.
And so I just waited for that gate to open. Do you know what? It never did.
It never opened?
Never opened. And I kind of cowered. I kind of slowly walked around and I looked around the corner. There was that elevator once again with boxes, but no one in it on the elevator. And I thought, what the heck is going on? And I knew that the building was all locked up. So I had to somehow make my way down, I'm going to say 40 different stairs to get to the main level where the party was held the night before, to get to the main door to let the police in.
Let the police in. Oh my gosh.
And so I was panicked because every step I took, I kept looking to my right, to my left, behind me. And then all of a sudden, as I was bound down, halfway down, my spidey sense kicked in.
Oh no, the hairs on your back of your neck.
That's exactly right. And so I was running, at this point, I was running just as fast as I could down.
Yeah, full sprint.
Skipping 2 or 3 steps. Finally got to the front door, and they were saying, wow, you've got your arm, sir, I need you to put down your weapons.
You were still holding the scalpel and
the trocar.
Oh my god.
And so I said, oh, okay, yeah, sorry about that. And she goes, would you mind just showing us what made you call us? So I explained the situation to them, what was actually happening. And so they said, well, hold it. How can the elevator move if no one's in the inside to move it?
Exactly.
I said, well, you can still open and close the gate and have that thing come up, or vice versa, but it was already down. It had to have someone inside it before it would actually make a move up. And so after explaining that to him, I said, look, just ride with me on the elevator. And as soon as I stepped onto that elevator, holy moly.
What?
I just totally I didn't freak out, but I just thought, do you guys feel that? There was obviously some sort of a presence there.
Oh.
And he said, and so the guy you saw, or the person you saw, was wearing black? And I said, it looked like a hoodie, but his head was down. I couldn't see hands. And because he looked like an elongated body. I couldn't see any appendages. I couldn't see arms.
Yeah.
But I just noticed that, that point on that hoodie was pointing towards the opening of the elevator, not necessarily he wasn't standing straight up. So it was, you know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. So the head was cropped down, and I kept looking at the officers, and I could tell they weren't believing me. And I said, okay. I said, let me go up, and we're just going to walk through the building, if you don't mind. I want you to walk through the building with me. And so they went on ahead. We went all the way up to the top. They looked at the individuals that were on the tables, and he said, are you sure no one's playing a joke on you? And I said, no one's playing a joke. I count these individuals. I know you got to know me, because I know how many individuals right now are in my cooler.
Yeah.
I make a check every morning. In fact, we've talked about this. I go in and say hi because I don't want any bad juju in there. And I just want to make.
Yeah. You obviously forgot to say hi or something.
something. So anyway, they went through the entire building with me, and he said, and the main concern was that, man, this is huge.
Yeah.
They had no idea, even from the street, you wouldn't know that it was as big as it was, but it was huge. And so we went through the whole thing, and he says, I don't know what to tell you. Whatever you saw is probably gone. And I said, but how? How would it be gone? I have bolts. I have deadbolts on the inside and outside of that garage door. There's no way you can come in with it unless you have a key. And then the front door is also the same way. It's deadbolted. How do you get? I mean, both sides keyed. It's not where you can turn on one side. It has to be keyed. And he goes, oh, by the way, that's a fire hazard. And I looked at him and I said, oh my gosh, okay, fine. We'll change the locks. But do you understand what I've asked? And he said, have we seen everything? And I said, yes. And he goes, well, we don't see any reason for concern. And I said, okay, thank you so much for coming by. And,
thanks for nothing.
Yeah, kind of. That's kind of what I felt. And so anyway, as I said goodbye to the two officers, I walk back into the building and I hear this tap on a door, on the front door, and I turn around and it's the officer. And he motions me back to the door, and I walk back over and he says, I think these are yours. And so he handed me a scalpel and the trocar. Mm-hmm. And I said, yes, they are mine. Thank you. And he said, just be careful. I said, yeah, no problem. And so the whole time I'm thinking to myself, why in the world did I see what I saw and now the officers don't?
And they didn't feel anything when you went up in the elevator?
Well, when I said to him, I said, do you feel that? And he goes, what, the shakiness of the elevator? And I said, well, yeah, the elevator is shaky, but do you feel anything intrinsically, or do you feel like something's peering or looking at you right now? Do you feel that? And he goes, no, I think you're making things up. And I said, okay, all right, well, that's fine. So I went back up, and I so cautiously, and then I was afraid to go into my apartment because remember, the room if I walked off that elevator on that third floor, I could walk straight into my bedroom, into my apartment. And so I'm just thinking to myself, do I go into the apartment? Because truthfully, we didn't go into any of the apartments because they said that they couldn't do that because it would be a hindrance on privacy. I can't remember exactly how they said it, but plus no one was there.
Right.
So they couldn't give us permission to go into their apartments. So I thought to myself, well, what if I didn't hear it, or they did hear it and I didn't hear it, but they shot right into my bedroom or my apartment. So I'm thinking to myself, surely I locked that door. And I don't ever lock my door. Because why would I? I trust everybody that's in that building.
And you were the only one in the building.
Exactly right. And so I walked over and I turned the knob, and of course it wasn't locked. And so then my mind started to race and think, oh my word, what the...
And now I just turn the knob and he knows that I'm right outside. That's what I would be thinking.
So I didn't know what to do. So what I did, in the dressing area, there's a huge open area. So you can dress 3 or 4 or 5 different individuals at the same time and not be in anyone else's way. So there's that big open area. And so what I did is I just grabbed a couple of sheets and a pillow, and I put them on the floor there. And I thought to myself, well, if I fell asleep here, at least I'll be able to hear if someone comes up that elevator or comes out of my apartment. See, that was my logic that was happening. Mm-hmm. And so I went on ahead and I went to sleep, and I thought to myself, well, maybe I'm just imagining the whole thing. Maybe there really isn't anything that I saw or witnessed that was taking place. And before I went to bed, and when the cops were coming through the building with me, every door we passed, I checked to make sure it was locked. You're with me?
Yeah.
Every door I checked to make sure it was locked. And every door was locked. And you know what? When I went to bed, I was I wasn't nervous. I was just kind of, when you're right on the border of sleep and waking, that type of sleep. You weren't really fully asleep, but you were trying to be aware of what was taking place around you. So I guess I finally fell asleep, because when I woke up, guess what?
What?
There was a black hoodie on my chest.
What?
Yes. and I did not go to bed with it. And I remembered waking up and looking at it and just grabbing it and throwing it and thinking, what in the world has just happened?
On your chest? It was
On
just
my
a black
chest.
hoodie?
On my chest. And it had to be from the person I saw the night before. So I was totally psyched. I was kind of freaked out because here I knew I was still alone. I went through the building and I grabbed that thing and I walked with it through the building and I checked every single door and every single door was still locked.
Oh my gosh.
Right now, thinking about it, I'm getting chills again.
I just got chills on my arms. That's my spidey sense.
So I'm telling you that something weird was happening in the building that night. And I don't think, I cannot for the life of me think that. Okay, so what do you think after that story? What do you think happened? What do you think was the center of that piece? What was happening in that story?
Oh my gosh. See, I would think that it was just a spirit playing tricks on you. I mean, I would go back to the lights of the chapel going on and off. I don't remember which episode that is. But one of our prior episodes where a spirit was basically just playing with you.
Yeah.
But this feels very different.
It is different.
It feels very dark. And I'm sure you have a lot of stories like this, but none that I remember where you actually end up with something physical from the interaction.
Yes. And this, again, please understand, this was not an interaction. It was a find. It was, even though I witnessed and I could recognize it from the night before, I don't know who laid that on me. I really don't. But in my mind, I have a feeling that it was some sort of a specter, if I can use the term specter, that was clothed in someone's clothing and then it was easy to go because I think when we got on there with the cops, I think he was still on there, only unclothed.
Oh.
And
so he could somehow put clothes on.
Yes. Somehow or another, yes, he was clothed.
Because you couldn't see any appendages or anything. It was just the hoodie you saw.
Yeah. Well, remember my angle. I was way
right. You were looking down.
So it was almost like looking straight on his head, straight to the floor of the elevator. And yet I couldn't see any type of an appendage. And there was no movement when I called out to him. And so, and I don't know, in my own mind, you kind of think of him looking down, just grinning from ear to ear.
Yeah.
I mean, let's see if we can play with this guy.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, when I cannot tell you, I don't even think I could describe to you the feeling of sensation of not despair, but of kind of sheer helplessness when I woke up and saw that on my chest.
Oh my gosh.
And I just thought, whoa. And I hung it outside in the garage and I said, if this belongs to anybody, and it hung there for 90 days and we finally disposed of it. But that was probably one of the most, I guess, eerie. One of the examples of, well, like you said, kind of an exchange with whatever was in that area at the time, but yet I didn't have a physical exchange with anybody.
Right.
The only thing physical I saw was the hoodie and then it being on my chest the next morning. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was brought on from the Halloween party the night before or what. I have no idea. Maybe someone was locked in the building from the night before. I mean, I've run through all sorts of scenarios in my mind, but why in the world wouldn't you at least acknowledge me if I was yelling at you from the elevator? Why would you push it to the extent of my calling the cops?
See, but there's no way because the elevator never opened when it went up to your floor.
That's exactly right.
So they would have been on the elevator when the cops came.
That's right. The hoodie.
The hoodie would have been.
The hoodie would have been. And who's to say it wasn't if it wasn't tucked in a box or behind a box? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I was so freaked out I wouldn't have even noticed. I don't know. But I think in all honesty, of the amount of times that I've been in this industry, that is the first time that I seriously was kind of taking a second, I was second guessing myself.
Second guessing, like, did I actually experience this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought you were saying second guessing, why am I in this industry?
Yeah, well, that too, Holly.
Oh my gosh, that's terrifying. I have some questions because obviously you've thought about this a lot.
Yeah.
So do you think that he like physically put on the clothes, or he could just allow them, like will them to be on?
I don't know. I would guess that you had to physically put them on.
And so he physically took the jacket off to put it on you.
That's what I would think. I don't know for sure, but that's what I would think. Or he was standing over me and then made his body so thin that it just dropped on me. You know what I mean?
Or maybe he like passed through you.
Oh, don't even say that.
I know, I'm so sorry. But it went in my head and I had to say it.
Oh, man. So anyway, yeah, that's, I don't know how else to describe it other than that is an experience that I'll never forget again. But I wonder why. And
yeah.
And the next day, and just so you know, the next day, I, out of curiosity, went and knocked on every apartment door, hoping someone would open the door.
So at this point, you were hoping.
Yes.
Saying it would be better if someone was here playing tricks on me.
That's correct.
Or even an intruder just hiding out. Oh my gosh.
Were you here last night? Because
did you put this on me? Is this yours?
Whew, I feel much better now.
Oh my gosh.
But after that, and finding out from every apartment, the 4 of them, that no one answered the door, I then went outside, looked at the parking lot. The only car there was mine. There was no car in the parking lot. There was no disturbance. I couldn't, I walked the entire grounds. I couldn't find anything that would make me believe that someone had not been there or had been there. But
oh my gosh.
Yeah, but just that look. And if you can just get that visual, that's a visual that I'll never get out of my mind, where someone was just standing there, unresponsive, with their head bowed in the elevator.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Would that freak you out?
Oh my gosh, I would have quit the next day. I don't know why you didn't. I would have said, okay, I'm done with this. Yeah. That's so terrifying.
This, by the way, was our first apartment, my wife and I.
That was the apartment?
That was the apartment, but this happened well before knowing your mother.
Obviously. She probably, I'm sure you did not tell her this when you were moving in there.
I did. In fact, she would have said, we're not staying here.
You should have said, absolutely not. Sorry.
Oh boy! But if you believe in the power of prayer, there's prayers were said.
Oh my gosh!
Apartment, but it was one of the, and not much gets me to be quiet. I mean, there even when I'm borderline scared, I'm still talking.
Yeah, you do talk through things.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what's happening. But
and I mean, we see that a lot with all of the stories that you've shared so far, where something happens and then you'll say, hey, I know you're here.
Yeah, exactly.
And just kind of talking. But,
all I wanted was a raise of the door. Just if the gate were raised on the elevator, when it reached my level, I would have been perfectly fine. But where it didn't, and I just kept thinking, someone's in this building.
And that's even worse, too, because then how did you bring yourself to go out in your protected little corner with your scalpel?
Well, that was when the cops, I knew the cops had to come in.
Oh, so you had to go.
Yeah, I had to, because they had no other way of getting through into the building. But yet they knew a phone call of distress had come from inside the building. So that's why I decided to arm myself when I saw their lights reflecting off the wall in the prep room. I just figured I've got to get down there. And so
oh my gosh.
Just ran just as fast as I could. And yeah, very weird for me anyway.
Oh, Oh my gosh.
So
Maybe he was trying to keep you warm. Here's my jacket.
I don't think he wanted me to forget him.
Yeah, I don't think so either. He wanted to make a lasting impression. And probably, I don't know if spirits are spiteful or bitter, but I mean, you're looking down at him and you're saying, I'm calling the cops on you. And obviously, that's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
But you're describing all I saw was a black hoodie. And he's saying, okay, that's all you're going to remember me by? Here's the black hoodie.
Yeah.
Now you'll never forget me.
Wow. Thanks, Holly. I should have kept it. Although, you know what? I believe that if I kept it, it would have carried something with him.
Yeah, I think maybe he was attached to it. Or
that's what I'm thinking. And so I just, And even when the apartment dwellers came back, I told them of the experience. And
what did they say?
Well, first of all, they thought, we're living in a haunted mortuary? That's
okay, first of all, you're moving into a mortuary and you don't think it's going to be haunted? Come on.
There's got to be some movement going on here, people.
Yeah.
Wake up. What are you moving into?
Wake up.
I wish someone would have said that to me. Wake up.
Wake up. Yeah. Oh, man.
Get out. That's okay. Tell me to get out. I'll get out.
Oh.
Anyway. So that was the story there. I was thinking to myself, this is one that I did not want to share because I've never shared it with anybody.
Yeah, I was going to say I've never heard that.
No. And this is something that even my wife, when she hears this episode, will say, you never told me that story. And why would I?
Yeah, seriously.
We live there.
It was already, you knew it was true love, that she was marrying you, agreeing to move into a mortuary.
That's right.
Just stack on top of that it's haunted fairly recently. Probably not a good idea.
Oh, man. So anyway, that's it. Any other comments or questions on that one, Holly?
Oh my gosh. I have one more comment about going back to our Shadow People episode.
Oh, see, that's what I was thinking.
Where you pass through, or do you remember when you kind of like passed through Western Bob and it was resistance?
Yeah.
And the light didn't shine through him. It was dense. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm thinking the same. But see, Western Bob took place easily 20 years after this.
After, really?
Yeah. So I wouldn't have had any reference to Western Bob or Shadow People that I would have been told about, or at least what I would have physically remembered. And so when I thought about that, because I immediately when I started thinking and reading of this story once again, I just thought, you know what? Western Bob could have probably held something.
Yeah, probably.
By how dense he was. But, and that's probably the same type material this guy was made from.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it cost him a lot of energy to move. Maybe that's why he didn't respond to me.
Maybe. And I mean, Western Bob didn't respond to you either.
No.
But he also made a point to make himself known.
Yeah, he would move. Yeah. So anyway, this was what I call a spine tingler. And hopefully those that are listening receive that same type of tingle. And if you didn't, go back and listen. Yeah, go back and listen to it again. Holly turned all the lights on in her room when she knew.
I did. We were about to press record, and my dad, Frank, just goes, just so you know, this one's going to be creepy. It's going to be a spine tingler. And I said, hold on. Let me turn on all the lights in my house first.
Light dispels darkness. That's correct.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
So, anyway, that was that story.
Man, yeah, I don't know how to take away anything from that. Yeah. I mean, like, other than just thinking about the implications of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. And by the way, we never had another Halloween party in that building.
I remember what happened last time.
That I was a part of.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something else. That is that the first experience you ever had with shadowy people?
No. There was one just prior to that.
In the same mortuary?
No, it wasn't in a mortuary at all. It was out on the street.
On the street?
Yeah. So
A shadow homeless man?
I'm going to add that story. I hadn't thought about that one, but I will add that story to my list of stories to tell. So, yeah, it's very interesting that I think that even our coffiners, if they would seriously consider, they've seen things like this.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, I just hope that you would feel comfortable enough to share those with us so we can all share with other coffiners and so that we can all learn from one another how to experience it and what to do with those experiences.
Yeah.
This one truly, I think if I was to be scared at any point in this industry, this was it.
That's just terrifying.
There are a couple of others that I'll tell you that I was able to stay composed, but now that I look back on it, I should have been scared to death.
Right.
And you know some of those stories.
Yeah.
So but this one in particular, it did, I'll say it freaked me out.
I mean, how could it not?
Yeah. So anyway, but the caveat, and for those of you that are coffiners that are listening right now, I did mention to Holly, I will tell you the ending, which is kind of a cliffhanger of this story, and she didn't know this story, and I just kind of gave her a synopsis. But you should have seen her face when I said, and the jacket was on. The following morning, the jacket was on me.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so terrifying. I don't think I would ever be able to recover from that. So good for you. You're an inspiration.
Well, I did buy a cat a week later. No.
Yeah, right. Like the cat would do anything. Nelson would sell me out so bad.
I mean, just to keep me calm.
Oh. Oh my
gosh! To talk to when I go into the apartment.
Yeah.
What it did take me a couple of days to where I really felt comfortable in that apartment again.
Yeah, I don't know how you
even when
lasted that long.
There, the next day when I walked in there, I kept looking for disturbances, something that had been moved in the apartment, letting me know that someone had been there.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find anything. And I'm fairly observant, unless it's my wife cutting her hair. I'm fairly or coloring her hair. I'm pretty observant over a lot of things.
Right.
But I couldn't notice anything in my apartment at that point. So anyway.
Well, yeah, this story taught me something about you of why you're able to fall asleep anywhere at any point. It's because anywhere is more comfortable than that night. So.
And I'm telling you, when I decide to go to bed, I go to sleep.
Oh my gosh, like that.
Yeah, I don't mess around when it comes.
Yeah, no, you don't mess around with sleep.
Yeah, don't mess with my rest. Yeah.
Jeez. Okay. Oh, I can't talk about this anymore. So let's just go ahead and close out. But thank you, Coffiners, for joining us in for another episode, especially a spine-tingly episode, a spooky one. But be sure to like, share, and subscribe wherever you're listening, and follow us on Instagram at Coffin Talkin. Send us an email at letsbefrank@coffintalkin.com, and we'll see you next week.
We appreciate you, Coffiners.
Bye.
Bye.